my favorite picture of Leah. It's kind of hard to spread it out.
A mother's treasured memories.
She got the MVP award.
Of a daughter lost.
Nice and big. So when I wake up, I can see her.
Leah Freeman's belongings have been kept safe in her room for a decade now. Her mother Corey's anguish heightened by the knowledge that whoever took Leah's life is still free. In fact, a lot of people in this tight-knit rural community of Coos Bay, Oregon, believe that the murderer is still living among them, confident that he will never be caught.
Hey, Chief. We're sitting on Nick's car over here at the mill.
After a decade of suspicion, Coquille police, at the direction of the Vidocq Society, are going after Nick McGuffin, turning up the heat on the boyfriend, now the one and only suspect.
He's our prime suspect, and I think he probably killed a 15-year-old girl. In my opinion, he needs to be poked out a little bit.
Using marked cars to watch him in the open.
I want him to see me, yeah. I want him to know that we are watching him and we are watching what he's doing.
And he does. That's Nick there, waving to Coquille police officer Sean Sanborn as he leaves his job as a short order cook at the local casino.
I don't think he was surprised to see us, and that's kind of the goal.
Good morning, everyone.
Chief Daniels is advised to take the case public, and he does, holding a news conference to announce Leah's murder is no longer a dormant case.
We've interviewed over 100, almost 200 people in the last 6 months.
Besides the now 35 investigators from all over Southwest Oregon, Chief Daniels enlists Richard Walters from the Vidocq Society to consult on the big picture.
That night, the night she went missing, her shoe was found by the road here with blood on it.
So we don't really know exactly where she was killed, but you do know that she was last seen alive on the corner down the street here, and that there's evidence that some kind of harm had happened to her by the time she got 100 yards away.
Exactly.
So Richard, what does all this tell you?
I would suggest to you that she was forcibly taken from that point. She got probably smashed in the face. This particular type of offender likes to come in like this real quick.
15-year-old Leah Freeman vanished off the streets of Coquille 5 weeks ago. Her death is being treated as a homicide, but investigators are saying little else.
It took 5 weeks of searching to find Leah's decaying body on the side of an isolated lumber road 5 miles outside of town.
At approximately 3:30 this afternoon, Leah Freeman was discovered.
It appeared like it rolled her down the hill. It wasn't like she was placed down her, she was thrown and gone.
They didn't try to bury her?
No burying, nothing to conceal her.
There are certain types of killers that would dump exactly in this fashion. Part of the pathology is it doesn't count unless somebody knows, and so they hope that eventually she's going to be found, but they want to distance themselves in the meantime. They don't want to be arrested for it. They don't mind being considered suspects for it because that's kind of machismo.
Richard Walters, a forensic psychologist by trade, gives police confidence they are zeroing in on the right man. Richard labels Leah's murderer a power-assertive crime type and narrows down the kind of person who would kill a 15-year-old girl.
Power assertive is that muscle-flexing, Teutonic kind of braggart who thinks he's John Wayne, who wants to be a bigger man than what he is.
Walters says the crime scene and dumping of the body tells him that Leah was not tortured, not sexually assaulted. She was just in the way somehow.
The end goal was to get her dead, and to get her dead in the most efficient way.
Calls her a bitch.
A profile that resonates with the local crew and resembles their main suspect, boyfriend Nick McGuffin, a young man friends say has a temper, been in trouble with the law, scrapes with subsequent girlfriends. But now the investigative team must go beyond profiling and educated conjecture to find real evidence a jury can use to convict.
Just remember this, to get a murder conviction, I'm going to need a unanimous verdict. It only takes one person.
The team starts with Nick's story, that interview where he lays out where he was and what he was doing the night of the murder.
I was with her until 7 o'clock that night.
Nick says he comes back to Sherry's house at 9, but Leah has already left.
Sherry said that they got in an argument, she was bawling, and that she just left, and I could probably catch her if I went and looked for her.
Nick tells police he's driving his '67 Mustang looking for Leah all over town.
I basically drove everywhere for that 4 hours looking for her, and I didn't see her once.
Is that right?
No. We have several witnesses that actually placed Nick with Leah after 9 o'clock. If he's claiming he wasn't with her at night after 9 o'clock, but we can show he was with her, what's he hiding? Why would he say he's not with her when we know he was?
Yeah, why would he lie about it?
Exactly.
Others who saw Nick that night say he was acting strangely. He came back to Leah's best friend Sherry's house in a panic, even though Leah had been missing for only 45 minutes.
He was definitely, jumpy, talking fast. When he left, me and my mom said, that was weird. He's very jumpy. Like, why is he so concerned? It was definitely odd.
One of Nick's friends who was with him late that night told detectives in this recorded interview that Nick had already concluded he would never see Leah again.
He was acting weird, like she was never coming back. He acted like there was never going to be a tomorrow.
During his police interview, Nick, just the day after she's reported missing, seems convinced the worst has happened to Leah.
She would have called somebody by now. She'd at least contacted me if she would have ran away.
And Nick's own statements after Leah's disappearance may point back right at him. Among other things, Nick switches to the past tense when talking about Leah at a time when only the killer should know if she is dead or alive.
When you look at this statement in general, what do you see?
A lot of deception. I mean, he's withholding some information.
At the Vidocq Society's suggestion, McGuffin's writing is reviewed by Mark McClish, an expert in statement analysis, a technique used by police, but like polygraphs not widely accepted in court to find inconsistencies in a suspect's story.
What indications is this boyfriend giving us that he knows Leah is already dead?
He tells us that Sherry was like her best friend.
Sherry was her best friend.
And the question is, how does he know that Sherry and Leah are no longer best friends? And the answer is because he knows that at this point in time, Leah is dead.
And in the background, Richard Walter is rooting the investigators on, closing the net, he says, in a case with little physical evidence pointing to the killer.
You want to rule out, rule out, rule out. Eventually then, your bad guy, you're not going to be able to rule him out, okay? So there he stands with his hand up, that he really has no answer for where he was, what he was doing.
Is Nick's hand up? We tried to ask McGuffin about Leah and the evidence against him, but he only wanted to talk about himself as a victim of police harassment, 10 years under the spotlight.
You don't want to talk to me about I just want to ask you about how it's been. About how it's been. That's all I want to ask you about. Has it been difficult?
How do you think it's been?
I don't know. I mean, I know you've been under scrutiny.